These are Elitewheels DRIVE 45mm wheels. I've been riding them in the Italian Dolomites and in my area for the last 2 years, during which I also tested many other Chinese carbon wheel sets. Even though they are still the most responsive wheels I've tested, they are not perfect. In this review, I will tell you how they compare to other Chinese carbon wheels and what I dislike about them. I also double check their trueness, spoke tension, inside carbon structure and much more. Hey guys, Petr from CyclistShub.com here. I was among the first people to receive the drive wheels for a review when they were launched in early 2022. However, when Elitewheels contacted me, I assured them that I would say the good, the bad and the ugly. So how did they hold up? You will find out later in this video, but let me give you a little bit more context. I have always associated Elitewheels with cheap carbon wheels which you can buy on AliExpress. You may have seen my previous video in which I reviewed the budget Elitewheels Edge. Drive wheels were Elitewheels' reaction to Lún HYPER 2020, which gained a lot of popularity in Western markets. For a long time, drive wheels were their flagship wheel set, but recently they introduced Drive Helix, which should be even better. In addition, Elitewheels recently started sponsoring GCN, which is quite a big deal, as Elitewheels is one of the first Chinese brands to sponsor such a major Western media outlet. I had no idea what to expect from drive wheels when I received them back in 2022, but their specifications seemed promising. I mean sub 1300 45mm tubeless disc brake wheels with 21mm internal rim widths, carbon spokes and ceramic bearings? Yes please! The freehub body is 4-pole and has a relatively loud but satisfying sound. Listen to it yourself. You may have noticed that the spokes are not secured in the hub by a cup, unlike on Lún HYPERs. In the event of a failure, the spokes could fall out. However, this scenario is probably unlikely. Anyway, when I received them, the package included socks, through axles and tubeless rim tape. I provided Elitewheels with a feedback that these were probably not necessary and that it would be better to apply the tape directly. Later, they really changed the package contents and started applying the rim tape. Thumbs up. By the way, the exact weight is 1280 grams for a rim depth of 45mm. These are the lightest wheels I've tested so far. The following table shows other wheel sets I've tested and their weights. Before I started riding them, I performed a series of tests, the first of which was the trueness test. Their lateral trueness was acceptable but not perfect. I noticed some deviations, but those shouldn't impact the riding performance. Here you can see the same test that I did after about 3000 kilometers. During the trueness test, I also noticed that the spoke holes are off-center. I asked Elitewheels why this is so. They explained to me that installing carbon spoke requires precise angular requirements, and this design makes the installation process easier. This surprised me because Lún HYPER 2020 and Farsports Ventoux S that I owned during this time and other carbon spoked wheels didn't have off-center spoke holes. I continued measuring the tension of all spokes. This ended well, as the spoke tension was consistent across all spokes, meeting the 5% tolerance, and until this day, it was one of the best results I recorded. It was no surprise that the hubs were perfectly centered when I checked them using the dishing tool. Then, I took a few pictures from the inside. While I'm not a carbon fiber expert, I didn't discover any issues, like remnants of epoxy. I only noticed a pattern on the outside edge, which I believe is a natural part of the manufacturing process, because I've seen it on other wheel sets as well. If it's not, feel free to correct me in the comments below. Finally, I tried mounting 2-4 Contura 40R tires. It was slightly more challenging than with the Oleosat Pros or Lún HYPER. I had to use tire levers with new tires, but I didn't need them with used ones, which are a bit stretched out. From my experience, mounting tires on Elitewheels is trickier than on other wheel sets. However, seating them is no problem with an air compressor. I estimate I've ridden over 3,000 or 4,000 kilometers on drive wheels, mainly in mountains and rolling terrain. From a similar price range, I have reviewed Lún HYPER 2020, Lún HYPER 2nd Edition, Farsports Ventoux S and Superteam All-Carbon Ultra. All these wheels have carbon spokes and the same or similar rim depth. Of course, I rode all wheel sets with the same tires and tire pressures, and I used the same bike to have a riding experience that was as similar as possible. One of the main selling points of Drive wheels is their low weight. They are super responsive and agile thanks to the centered weight distribution and stiffness. I love how light they feel when accelerating out of the saddle. That's why they are my favorite wheels for high mountains. I took them and Farsports Ventoux S 45mm to the Dolomites last year when I was attending the Giro d'Italia. I like Ventoux S, but the drive wheels are simply more responsive in steep climbs. The difference between drive wheels and wheels with steel spokes like Yoliosat Pro 2022, Farsports Wave, Elitewheels Edge and others, is even more noticeable. And how do they compare to the Lún HYPER Second Edition D45? They beat them in climbing, but not on flats. I will talk more about this in a second. Another thing I like about these wheels is their crosswind stability. I don't know if it's better than the other wheel sets I tested because of the 5mm rim depth difference, the rim profile or the overall design. But drive wheels are one of the most stable wheels I used. They are on par with Ventoux S or Farsports Wave. Lún HYPER Second Edition fall behind them in this aspect. I brought these wheels to one hilly race. While descending at around 60 km per hour, I hit a deep pothole, puncturing the tire. To my surprise, the wheels remained scratch-free. By the way, this was the first and so far the only time I got a puncture with the Tufo Comtura 4-tier tires. And I already rode them through sharp gravel, glass and other shit. Anyway, it seems like these wheels are perfect, right? Well, not exactly. They have worse momentum on flats than heavier wheels. They are too lightweight and this weight is more centered than on other wheel sets, resulting in lower inertia and momentum. Without aero testing, it's super difficult to quantify this. But the more wheels I test, the bigger nuances in riding characteristics I noticed. And this is one of them. Riding comfort is comparable with most other carbon spoked wheels, but it's a bit worse than riding softer steel spoked ones. So if you live in an area with really bad roads, you should probably avoid wheels with carbon spokes. I'm also not the biggest fan of the raw glossy carbon finish and drive logo. What about you? Do you like it? Let me know in the comments below. Unfortunately, the bearings are starting to show signs of wear, which seems early to me after 3,000 or 4,000 kilometers. When I spin the wheels in my hands, I can feel that they don't spin as smoothly as when they were new. The bearings in the freehub body are the worst. Listen for yourself. I contacted Elitewheels for comment. Their response was briefly as follows. Hello Peter, thank you for contacting us and for the video. How about ordering a new set of bearings from our website? Please view the link below. If any questions, please feel free to let us know. Elitewheels. That was disappointing. When I further asked if this was normal after 3,000 kilometers, they offered me a free set of bearings if I paid $30 for shipping. I mean, it's better than nothing. But the durability of these bearings is questionable and they are not covered by warranty. Luckily they are easy to replace and other parts such as the wheel axle or nipples show no signs of galvanic corrosion and look almost like new, which is a good news. So what's the conclusion and who should buy these wheels? I honestly love them in the mountains. They are the most responsive wheels I've tested. Together with their low weight, you will save valuable energy in long and steep climbs and when accelerating. Additionally, they are stable in crosswinds and pretty comfortable. I can recommend them to climbers and people living in mountainous or hilly areas. Depending on your riding style, you may also consider them for technical criterions where you have to accelerate often. On the other hand, look elsewhere if you are looking for fast wheels suitable for steady efforts on flats. Drive wheels don't maintain their momentum as well as heavier wheels. Considering their price of around $1,050 you can get with the Cyclists Hub discount code, drive wheels provide excellent value for money. So if you decide to buy them, please use my code. It's the best way to support this channel. Thank you very much in advance. Anyway, I hope you find this review helpful. If you do so, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Ciao!